Sometimes the loudest room teaches you the quietest lesson, that real ones don't fit in. They walk alone, not because they hate people, not because they think they're better, but because they've outgrown the noise. When your vision gets sharp, distractions start to blur. You stop chasing crowds, you start chasing clarity. You realize that walking alone isn't a punishment, it's a process. It's where the real growth happens. See, the truth is, most people move with the herd because it feels safe. They want validation, approval, company. But real ones, they want evolution. They want to build something that lasts beyond attention. And that path gets lonely. Because the higher you climb, the fewer people can breathe your air. When you walk alone, you learn who you are without applause. You learn to move in silence and let your results make the noise. Every real one you've ever admired, every builder, thinker, leader had to walk through a season of isolation before they ever saw light. That's the price of purpose. That's the cost of becoming real. So today, I'm breaking down why real ones walk alone. 5 truths that separate those who talk from those who transform. Growth don't happen in crowds. It happens in the quiet, when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping. Real ones understand that isolation isn't rejection, it's incubation. You're not being left out, you're being set apart. Think about a seed. Before it becomes a tree, it gets buried in the dark, alone. No light, no praise, just pressure. But that's where the transformation starts. Same thing with you. When life puts you in isolation, it's giving you space to grow roots. Most people don't survive that stage because silence scares them. They mistake loneliness for loss. They think if they ain't being seen, they ain't moving. But the real ones know that's where the magic's happening. When I say walk alone, I mean build in private. Protect your ideas from premature exposure. Because when you're surrounded by too many opinions, you lose your original voice. Real ones understand it's better to be misunderstood for a season than to compromise your vision forever. Take real examples. Entrepreneurs who started with nothing, artists who got rejected 1,000 times before the world caught up, athletes who trained in silence while everyone else was partying. That grind, that silence, that focus, that's what made them great. They didn't chase company, they chased consistency. So don't run from the seasons when it's just you. That's where you learn discipline, resilience, and clarity. Growth demands isolation, and that's why real ones walk alone. Growth demands isolation, and that truth cuts deep. Because once you realize that, you start seeing how much of your life was built around noise. You start noticing how many of your moves were made just to be seen, how much of your effort was spent trying to prove instead of improve. That's when the shift happens. That's when you start walking different. When you isolate yourself for the right reasons, it's not weakness, it's strategy. It's saying, I'm not available for distractions right now. I'm busy becoming who I said I'd be. Real ones know this feeling, that quiet grind, that inner focus, that hunger that don't need an audience. You're not trying to impress nobody. You're trying to outgrow the old version yourself. Let me tell you something about growth. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. It's confusing. It's those nights when you question everything and still get up the next morning and push anyway. It's when your phone stops ringing, your circle gets smaller, and people start whispering, he changed. Yeah, you did. You were supposed to. Because you can't build a new chapter surrounded by people who keep reading your old one. Look at life like a staircase. Every level gets quieter. The crowd at the bottom is loud, full of noise, full of opinions. But as you climb, the air gets thinner, the steps get smaller, and the voices fade. That's how you know you're elevating. Growth requires silence because clarity only comes when distractions leave. There's a reason why great thinkers, inventors, and creators disappear for months or years before they drop something legendary. That silence is where creativity breathes. That's where ideas are protected before they're ready for the world. When you're alone, you start hearing your real voice. Not the one shaped by trends or approval, but the one built from truth. You ever notice how when you're around too many people, your vision starts to get cloudy? You start questioning your own path because everyone's trying to hand you a map to theirs. But when you pull back and isolate, you start to see what's really for you. You stop moving from emotion and start moving from intention. Isolation teaches discipline, and discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. Anybody can talk about success when they're surrounded by motivation, but who are you when it's just you, when nobody's watching? When the lights are off and the only one clapping is you, that's the test. That's the difference between pretending to grind and actually grinding. Every real one went through that silent phase, that invisible season where it felt like nothing was working. But that's the seed stage. That's where roots grow before fruit shows. You can't see what's happening underground. But that doesn't mean growth isn't happening. And when that seed finally breaks through the surface, people act like it happened overnight. No, it happened in the dark. It happened in the dark. Let me give you a real example. Think about someone like Michael Jordan before he became a legend, before championships and endorsement. He was in the gym before sunrise and long after everyone left. No cameras, no fans, just sweat, repetition, obsession. That's isolation. That's where greatness is built, away from applause. Or think about entrepreneurs who grind years without profit, just faith. People doubt them, mock them, say they're wasting time, but they keep building, keep learning. Keep moving alone. Then one day, the world wakes up to what they've been creating. The same people who doubted them start asking for advice. That's how it goes. Isolation turns into elevation when you stay consistent. The reason isolation feels painful is because you're shedding parts of yourself that no longer fit your future. You're breaking patterns, killing comfort zones, outgrowing environments that used to feed you. And that's hard. But that's also necessary, because if you keep watering dead soil just because it's familiar, you'll never grow. Real ones don't fear silence. They use it. They study in it. They heal in it. They build in it. When you're alone, you start reconnecting with your spirit, your purpose, your hunger. You start remembering why you started. You start hearing your intuition louder than opinions. That's why solitude is sacred. It's not about cutting people off for ego. It's about cutting noise off for growth. Because if you can't be at peace by yourself, you'll always chase chaos in others. You'll keep seeking validation instead of transformation. Real ones understand this. Peace is the new power. And let's be real, walking alone doesn't mean you don't love people. It just means you love yourself enough to protect your energy while you evolve. Some people can't go where you're going, not because they're bad, but because they're not built for that altitude. Think of a rocket launching into space. At liftoff, it has boosters attached, powerful, supportive, necessary. But as it climbs, those boosters fall off, not because they were wrong, but because their part of the journey is over. The rocket keeps going. That's you. The boosters are the people, habits, and situations that helped you get started. But at a certain point, if you don't detach, you'll never reach orbit. That's what isolation teaches you. Detachment without bitterness, understanding without resentment, peace without approval. You start realizing that your purpose doesn't require company, it requires commitment. The beautiful part about walking alone is that you start attracting the right energy naturally. Once you align with who you really are, the right people, the real ones, will cross paths with you, but they'll meet you on your frequency, not your past. Until then, stay patient in that silence, because one day, the same people who couldn't see your vision will look up and realize you became everything you said you would without them. And when that day comes, don't speak with arrogance. Speak with gratitude, because that lonely road, those quiet nights, those unseen battles, they were building the version of you that was ready to carry the crown. So when life forces you to walk alone, don't panic, don't question, don't beg for company. Just walk. Walk with focus. Walk with faith. Walk with that inner knowing that this solitude is shaping your strength, because real ones understand growth ain't glamorous. It's gritty. It's full of silence, sacrifice, and self-reflection. But that's what makes it rare. The loud ones talk about what they're going to do. The real ones disappear and come back different, stronger, sharper, quieter. And when they finally speak, the world listens, not because of noise, but because of presence. So remember this, if you're walking alone right now, you're not lost, you're leveling up. You're being prepared, not punished. You're being refined for something greater. Growth demands isolation, and only those strong enough to embrace it will ever understand its power. Keep walking, keep building, keep believing, because one day that silence will speak for you louder than any crowd ever could. Energy is the most expensive currency you'll ever own. And the older you get, the more you start realizing not everybody deserves to spend it. The real ones know this. That's why they walk alone. Not because they're antisocial or cold-hearted, but because they've learned how heavy the wrong energy can be. You ever walk into a room and instantly feel your spirit drop? Nothing's been said yet, but something feels off. That's energy. The invisible language that your soul understands before your mind catches up. When you start elevating, your energy becomes more sensitive. You start feeling the difference between peace and presence, between love and leeching. You realize not everyone's clapping because they care. Some just want to be close enough to benefit. And that's why real ones guard their energy like a fortress. They've been drained before. They've poured into people who never poured back. They've carried others while no one checked if their own feet were bleeding. After a while, you stop letting everyone in. You stop explaining why you move different. You just protect your peace like it's your purpose. See, energy doesn't lie. You can fake words, fake smiles, fake intentions, but you can't fake frequency. Some people bring peace when they enter a room, others bring confusion. The real ones learn to spot the difference early. That's why you might see them go quiet, pull back, and disappear. They're not mad, they're just preserving their power. You can't mix high energy with low minds and expect progress. It's like trying to pour champagne into a cracked glass. It'll spill every time. That's what happens when you share your spirit with people who ain't ready for it. They drain it. They distort it. They make you doubt it. And before you know it, you're carrying weight that's not even yours. There comes a point when you got to stop saving people who keep jumping back into the fire. You got to stop explaining your peace to people addicted to chaos. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's self-respect. Because the moment you let anyone access your mental space, you're handing them the keys to your future. Real ones understand that energy builds empires or destroys them. Look at any team, business, or circle that fell apart. It wasn't always money or fame that ruined it. It was energy. The jealous looks, the quiet envy, the hidden resentment. That's why the strongest people start valuing solitude over socializing, because peace is rare and you can't buy it. When you start vibrating higher, thinking bigger, moving sharper, you'll notice your circle shrinking. Conversations that used to entertain you start feeling empty. Gossip starts sounding like poison. Party nights start feeling like wasted time. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You're not outgrowing people out of pride. You're outgrowing the version of yourself that tolerated low vibrations. Some people are addicted to drama because that's where they feel alive. But if you're trying to build something real, you can't afford that. Energy thieves come dressed as friends, family, sometimes even lovers. They love your light but hate your growth. They want your fire but not your flame. And when you finally start distancing yourself, they'll call you fake. But what's fake is staying where your soul keeps dying. Understand this. Loyalty doesn't mean attachment. You can love people from a distance and still protect your peace. You can forgive and still move on. Because real love never drains, it builds. Real friends pour back. Real ones challenge you to grow, not guilt you for changing. The realest thing you can do for yourself is create boundaries and stand on them. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't elevate in rooms that don't celebrate you. That's why real ones don't chase acceptance, they create alignment. They understand that walking alone in peace is better than walking with many in confusion. Energy is like oxygen. When it's clean, you breathe. When it's toxic, you choke. The people around you determine whether you grow or suffocate. If they don't inspire you, challenge you, or help you rise, then they're slowly killing your potential. And that's why some seasons require you to unplug completely. No calls, no texts, no explanations, just you, your vision, your focus. Because when you clear your energy, you start hearing your purpose again. You stop reacting to every noise. You stop chasing closure from people who were never meant to understand your heart. You realize that peace doesn't mean isolation forever. It means elevation for a while. You pull back to power up. You disappear to rebuild. You stop letting everyone sit at your table because you learn not everyone's coming to eat with you. Some just come to take. It's not that you change, it's that your energy did. And when your energy changes, everything around you does too. People start falling off naturally. Opportunities start aligning differently. Your spirit starts feeling lighter. That's when you know you're growing. So don't apologize for protecting your space. Don't feel guilty for saying no. Don't let guilt trap you in circles you've already outgrown. Because every no you give to the wrong energy is a yes to your peace, your growth, and your purpose. Remember, energy isn't just spiritual, it's practical. It shows in your sleep, your focus, your health. Be around the wrong people long enough and you'll start doubting your potential. But surround yourself with peace and you'll start producing at a higher level. That's not luck, that's alignment. When you start moving with intention, you'll realize not everyone is meant to go, and that's okay. The journey to greatness requires selective energy because the truth is not everyone can handle your frequency, and that's why real ones walk alone. There comes a time when you realize protecting your energy isn't just a lifestyle, it's survival. Because not everyone around you is there to see you win. Some are there just to make sure you don't lose them. They don't love your growth, they love your dependence. The moment you start moving different, their energy shifts. Suddenly, your progress feels like their pain. You got to recognize that early. The same people who cheer for you when you're comfortable will sometimes disappear when you get confident. When you stop doubting yourself, it exposes their insecurities. That's why energy doesn't mix with everybody, because most people aren't healing, they're hiding. They walk around wounded, pretending they're whole, and then project that hurt onto you. Real ones start catching that energy quick. They stop arguing with broken souls. They stop trying to explain peace to people who feed on chaos. You'll never convince a storm to be still. Stop wasting your light trying to fix people who enjoy the darkness. When your energy starts elevating, life starts testing your boundaries. You'll attract people who seem positive but carry hidden agendas. They'll come with smiles but bring confusion. They'll talk loyalty but move in envy. And the real ones, they don't confront it loudly, they just fall back quietly, because silence is the loudest response to fake energy. There's a saying, you don't lose friends, you lose filters. The more you grow, the clearer you see. And sometimes clarity costs company. You start realizing who was genuinely there for you and who was just there for what you could do for them. I remember hearing a story about a boxer who used to bring his closest friends to every fight. But when the lights went out, when the crowd left and the camera stopped rolling, only one stayed to help him train. The rest loved the spotlight, not the struggle. That's how life is. When you start winning, the crowd gets louder. When you start growing, it gets smaller. Real ones don't chase the crowd, they value the corner. Protecting your energy also means learning emotional discipline. Not every insult deserves a reaction. Not every invitation deserves a whereas. Not every loss is a lesson meant to be revisited. Sometimes peace is found in letting go, not proving a point, because the moment you let negative energy provoke you, it owns you. The strongest people know how to walk away without noise. See, energy isn't about how loud you are, it's about how aligned you are. A calm mind can break mountains, a chaotic one breaks itself. When you keep your energy pure, your presence becomes powerful. You don't need to say much, people just feel it. You walk into a room and everything adjusts. That's the aura of someone who's done the inner work, and that's the real grind, not the cars, not the clothes, not the fame. The real grind is protecting your peace in a world that profits off your chaos. The real grind is learning how to stay centered when everyone else is spinning. It's easy to match energy, It's harder to master yours. Real ones master. They learn how to be unbothered, not uncaring. They stop explaining themselves to people who decided not to understand. They stop fighting battles that don't match their frequency. They move with grace because they know peace is the new luxury. But don't get it twisted. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating forever. It means curating your circle. It means building with people who want to see you shine, not compete with your light. It means surrounding yourself with minds that inspire, not drain. Because alignment is power. When energy connects right, everything flows. Conversations, creativity, motivation, money, growth. You can feel it. When the energy's right, ideas multiply, not die. You start building momentum naturally because everyone in that circle is invested in each other's rise. That's rare, but that's real. Let me drop something real on you. Every successful person you admire got there by protecting their energy first. The hustle, the grind, the success that came after they learned to say no to distractions. The world makes noise about talent, but energy is what sustains success. You can be talented and still fail if your energy is surrounded by doubt and drama. Look at nature. Even flowers won't grow in the wrong soil. You can plant the most beautiful seed, but if the environment's toxic, it dies. That's how it is with your spirit. You can have all the potential in the world, but if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, you'll never bloom. Protect your soil, protect your energy, and don't mistake loneliness for alignment. When you start protecting your space, it might feel quiet. You'll miss the noise, you'll question yourself, but that's when you're supposed to keep going because peace always feels strange after years of chaos. It's not emptiness, it's healing. You're just detoxing from energy that was never yours. Eventually, you'll reach a place where peace feels normal again, where silence isn't scary, it's sacred. You start waking up lighter, thinking clearer, moving smarter. You stop chasing energy, you attract it. Because when you stay authentic, the right frequencies find you. And when that happens, your life starts transforming. You start building better relationships, making wiser moves, creating from a place of calm instead of chaos. That's when you understand the real meaning of power, not control over others, but mastery over your own energy. So if you're walking alone right now because you're protecting your peace, don't second guess it. You're not missing out. You're leveling up. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need validation to feel valuable. The kind who can sit in silence and still feel whole. Energy is the silent currency of success. Protect it like it's gold. Be selective with who you let close. Because when you give your energy to the wrong people, you delay your purpose. But when you align it with the right ones, you amplify your destiny. At the end of the day, walking alone isn't about ego. It's about elevation. It's not about thinking you're better. It's about knowing you're different energy, different vision, different discipline. And that difference will always make you misunderstood, but it'll also make you unstoppable. Remember this, not everyone can handle your frequency. Some people will misread your peace as distance, your silence as pride, your boundaries as attitude. Let them, because real ones know energy doesn't lie and peace doesn't beg to be understood. So keep your circle small, your mind clear, and your spirit strong. Don't lower your energy to meet people where they are. Raise it and let them decide if they're ready to rise. Protect your energy at all costs, because the more you do, the more you'll realize why real ones always walk alone. Vision changes everything. The moment you start seeing life differently, you start living differently. It's like waking up one morning and realizing the world you've been in was smaller than the one you're meant to build. That's when everything around you starts to shift. Your habits, your conversations, your circle. Because once you've seen the bigger picture, you can't unsee it. And that's why real ones walk alone, because vision separates you. When your eyes lock on a goal that no one else can see, people start thinking you're crazy. They don't understand that you're not chasing attention. You're chasing alignment. You're not obsessed. You're focused. The truth is, vision isolates you before it elevates you. It puts you in rooms of silence, surrounded by doubt, with nothing but your belief to hold on to. That's where most people fold. But the real ones, they don't need proof to keep going. They move off faith. See, vision isn't just about seeing the end. It's about believing in it when you're still in the dark. It's about holding the blueprint in your mind while the world's still looking at the dirt lot. People won't get it. They'll laugh out and question you. But the real ones know that being misunderstood is part of the mission. Look at every great story. It starts with someone who saw when others couldn't. When everyone else was focused on comfort, they were focused on creation. When others looked at risk, they saw reward. That's how builders think. That's how creators move. The average person lives by sight. The visionary lives by insight. They don't need validation to believe. Their vision fuels them when nothing else does. It's what keeps them up when everyone else is sleeping. What pushes them through when everyone else gives up. But here's the catch. Having vision comes with pain, because the more you see, the less you fit in. You start realizing how many people around you are okay with good enough. You start noticing how comfort kills dreams. You start outgrowing conversations that used to excite you. When your mind's on the future, small talk feels like static. You can't spend hours gossiping when your spirit's trying to build something generational. You stop trying to convince people of your plans because you understand if they don't see it, it's not for them. That's why real ones walk alone, because they'd rather protect their vision in silence than explain it to people who only understand sight. The more you talk about it, the more you drain it. Sometimes the best move is to shut up, grind, and let results speak the language. Vision is a lonely gift. It shows you what could be while you're still surrounded by what isn't. It's like carrying a fire in a world full of water. Everyone around you doubts your flame, but you keep it alive anyway. That's why visionaries seem different, because they're built to see before it exists. Let me give you something real. When people first laughed at the idea of smartphones, one man saw the future of communication. When others said electric cars would fail, someone else saw a revolution. When everyone thought music had to fit a formula, some artist broke the mold and created timeless sound. Every visionary had to stand alone before the world caught up. Because vision doesn't come with support, it comes with struggle. You'll lose friends who don't believe. You'll lose partners who don't understand. You'll lose comfort that used to feel like safety. But every time you take a step forward, you'll gain something greater: clarity. And clarity is priceless. It's what keeps you grounded when life gets messy. It's what makes you choose progress over popularity. You start realizing that the path less traveled is only lonely because most people gave up halfway. Real ones keep walking. They understand that the vision in their heart is bigger than the fear in their mind. They're not afraid to be the first, the only, or the misunderstood. They don't need applause. They need alignment. When you carry a vision, you also carry responsibility. You can't blame people for not understanding it. They weren't given your sight. You were chosen to see it for a reason. So instead of complaining that they don't believe, use it as fuel. Because vision is verified by consistency, not validation. There's a quote that says, "A lion doesn't turn around when a dog barks." That's how you move when you got vision. You stop reacting to every doubt, every hatter, every distraction. You stay focused because you understand your purpose is louder than their noise. Every visionary goes through a season of silence. It's where you build the blueprint, where you train your discipline, where you face your doubts head on. It's not glamorous, but it's necessary, because before the vision blesses you, it tests you. It wants to know, can you hold the weight of what you're asking for? You'll have days when the vision feels too heavy, when progress feels invisible, when you start questioning if it's even worth it. But real ones keep going because they understand that struggle doesn't mean failure. It means formation. Pressure doesn't break vision, it polishes it. The hardest part about having vision is not seeing results right away, because your mind's already in the future, but your reality's still catching up. That gap between where you are and where you want to be, that's where most people quit. But that's also where champions are built. When nobody believes in you, your vision has to become your best friend. Talk to it. Protect it. Feed it. Don't let the noise drown it out, because the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards persistence. And remember, vision doesn't mean fantasy. It means faith with foundation. It's not about dreaming blindly. It's about building boldly. It's about creating a life that matches what your soul's been whispering. The real ones, they don't just dream, they execute. They don't just talk about goals. They turn them into blueprints. They don't just visualize success. They work until the vision becomes visible. Vision will isolate you, test you, and break you. But it will also shape you, build you, and crown you. That's why only the real can handle it. Because carrying a vision requires backbone, patience, and faith when everything's falling apart. So if you feel different, if you feel misunderstood, if people don't get your path, that's confirmation, not confusion. That means your vision is too big for their eyes. Keep walking alone if you must, because one day they'll see what you saw, and when they do, they'll call you lucky. But you'll know it was never luck. It was vision. Vision doesn't just change how you move, it changes who you are. When you start living by purpose, not pressure, the world starts reacting differently to you. You begin to notice that your peace matters more than people's opinions. You stop trying to fit in because your spirit knows it's meant to stand out. That's when the separation becomes clear. Most people follow trends, real ones follow truth. Vision gives you clarity about what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You stop chasing every opportunity because you understand that not everything is meant for you. You start operating with patience, with intention. You realize that your time is your currency, and every moment spent in the wrong direction costs you progress toward the right one. When you carry vision, your focus becomes sacred. You can't waste it scrolling, arguing, or proving your worth. You learn to protect your mind like it's your mansion, because you're building your empire one decision at a time. The real ones know vision demands isolation, because it's in solitude that strength is built. You're not supposed to have everyone around you. Not everyone's equipped to go where you're headed. Some people can only walk with you as far as their faith allows. And that's okay, because when you lose the wrong ones, you make space for the right things. Think about every great builder. They didn't start with a crowd. They started with conviction. Before their applause, there was silence. Before success, there was struggle. The foundation of every great vision is laid in private. You might not see the results for months, years even, but every sleepless night, every small step, every sacrifice is adding up. Vision is like planting a seed. You don't dig it up every week to check if it's growing. You water it, protect it, and trust the process. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers talk about what they want. Visionaries work in silence until it becomes undeniable. Let me make it real. Look at the people who built something timeless, from business to art, from culture to legacy. They all went through seasons of being doubted, mocked, or ignored. They didn't let it break them because they knew what they carried was worth protecting. That's what vision does. It keeps you grounded when life shapes you. There's a moment every visionary faces, the moment when nothing's working and quitting feels easier than continuing. That's the test. The world's not asking if you can dream. It's asking if you can endure. Can you still believe when everything tells you to stop? Can you still move when motivation runs out? That's where vision turns into purpose. See, anyone can start with excitement, but only those with vision finish with legacy, because vision gives you direction when life gives you detours. It makes you play the long game. It reminds you that slow progress is still progress, and that patience isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every setback is shaping you for something bigger. Every no is redirecting you towards something greater. When you've got vision, you stop asking why me and start asking, what is this teaching me? Because the visionary mindset isn't about avoiding pain. It's about transforming it into power. And don't get it twisted. Walking with vision doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you move anyway. It means you trust your instincts even when the path isn't clear. The ones who win aren't fearless, they're faithful. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they create them. Visionaries operate differently. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They invest time where others waste it. They think in decades, not days. And that's why they stand out, because in a world obsessed with instant, they're committed to impact. That's why real ones walk alone, because vision doesn't ask for company, it asks for commitment. The higher you climb, the smaller the crowd becomes. But that's not loneliness, that's elevation. You're not losing people, you're finding purpose. The truth is, most people give up on vision because it's slow. But real ones understand slow success builds strong roots. Quick success fades fast, but when you build something from the ground up, it lasts. Because every late night, every lesson, every loss built you into someone unshakable. When your vision is pure, your grind becomes powerful. You start valuing progress over praise. You don't chase likes, you chase legacy. You don't compete with others, you compete with your potential. Because the real competition isn't out there, it's within. Vision also humbles you. It reminds you that everything you're building is bigger than you. That's why real visionaries give back, inspire others, and leave blueprints for those coming next. Because true success isn't just reaching the top, it's lifting others on your way up. When you walk with vision, you become a mirror. You start reflecting what's possible. People see you and realize that consistency beats talent, faith beats fear, and discipline beats excuses. You become living proof that isolation was never punishment, it was preparation for elevation. Vision also demands that you forgive yourself for the times you didn't see clearly, for the moments you settled, the times you doubted, the days you slowed down, because clarity doesn't come all at once. It comes through growth, through pain, through persistence. Every mistake was a message, every failure was feedback, and when your vision finally manifests, when the world finally catches up to what you saw years ago, that's when everything makes sense. Every lonely night, every silent battle, every sacrifice, it all adds up to the moment where your reality matches your dream. But even then, real ones know the mission isn't over, because vision doesn't stop when you win, it expands. It's not about the money, the fame, or the recognition. It's about impact. It's about building something that outlives you. The journey of a visionary never truly ends. Once you've walked that path alone and turned your vision into reality, you realize your purpose is to show others that they can too, to light the way for those who are still walking in the dark, to remind them that solitude is not weakness, it's the soil where greatness grows. So when people doubt you, thank them, they're confirming your vision's too big for their sight. When life tests you, smile, that means your purpose is real. And when you find yourself walking alone, keep walking, because the path of the chosen is never crowded. You are not crazy for dreaming different. You are not wrong for wanting more. You are not weak for walking alone. You are simply a visionary in a world full of followers. And one day they'll understand what you were building in silence. Until then, protect your vision, trust your grind, and never let the noise shake your focus, because the real ones don't need a crowd to be seen. They need a mission to believe in. The road is lonely, but the reward is legacy. Walk it with your head high, your heart strong, and your faith unshaken. Because when vision guides you, destiny follows you. And when destiny calls your name, the whole world will finally see what you saw all along. Loyalty ain't just about people, it's about purpose. Everybody talks about loyalty like it's something you give to someone else. But the first loyalty you owe is to yourself, to your calling, to your dream, to the thing that burns inside you. Because if you're not loyal to your purpose, you'll betray it chasing comfort, clout, or validation. Real loyalty means staying true when it's hard, when it's lonely, when it's slow. It's easy to stay focused when everything's going right, but what about when you're getting no love, no results, no applause? That's when your loyalty gets tested. That's when you find out if you're really built for what you say you want. Purpose doesn't need perfection. It needs persistence. There's a moment in every real one's journey where they have to decide, do I want to look successful or become successful? Most people choose the image. They'll post like they're winning instead of actually working. They'll rather look loyal than be loyal. But the real ones, they stay down until they come up. They stay loyal when no one's watching. They stay consistent when nobody's clapping, because they understand that loyalty is not a season, it's a lifestyle. When you're loyal to your purpose, you stop being moved by emotions. You show up even when you don't feel like it. You put in the work even when no one's checking for you. You understand that purpose doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it demands more than you think you have. But loyalty means showing up anyway. Let's be real, distractions are everywhere. The world tries to pull you away from what matters most. There's money, there's temptation, there's comfort. But loyalty means saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's eternal. You can't serve two masters. You can't be loyal to your purpose and your comfort at the same time. Every person with vision has to protect it from things that look good but don't grow you. The streets, the fame, the validation, it all looks sweet until it drains your soul. That's why loyalty is rare, because it requires discipline. You got to ask yourself, what am I loyal to? Is it your growth or your habits, your dream or your distractions? Because whatever you're loyal to, you'll end up serving. If you're loyal to excuses, you'll never see results. If you're loyal to growth, you'll never stop evolving. Loyalty to purpose means you stop chasing shortcuts. You stop expecting overnight success. You start trusting the grind. You stop blaming the world and start building your lane, because purpose rewards patience. It's not about how fast you move. It's about how consistent you stay. Think about this. A tree doesn't bear fruit in a day. It takes roots before results. The same goes for purpose. If you stay loyal long enough, the blessings come not because it's luck, but because it's law. Seeds only grow where they're planted and watered. Loyalty is that water. Every real one knows what it feels like to question the mission, to wake up tired, discouraged, maybe even broken. You start thinking, is this even worth it? That's when loyalty speaks louder than motivation, because motivation fades, but loyalty stays. Motivation gets you started. Loyalty keeps you going. You'll face seasons when your vision doesn't make sense to anyone else. When people you trusted switch up, when results take too long, that's when purpose becomes personal. You stop needing outside validation and start trusting your own conviction. It's like being in the gym when nobody's there. No camera, no audience, just you and the work. That's what loyalty feels like. Doing what needs to be done even when no one's applauding, because one day those quiet reps will show in public. Loyalty also means protecting your energy. You can't stay loyal to your purpose if you're loyal to drama. You can't evolve if you're still entertaining what drains you. There comes a time when you got to walk away from everything that doesn't align, no matter how familiar it feels. See, people think loyalty means never changing, but real loyalty means growing. You're not betraying your old self by evolving. You're honoring your purpose by becoming who you're meant to be. That's why the real ones keep shedding habits, people, mindsets, anything that doesn't serve their purpose. You can't pour new blessings into an old mindset. You can't reach new levels with old habits. So you got to ask yourself, am I loyal to my future or my past? Because one of them has to go. I've seen people lose everything because they were loyal to the wrong things. Loyal to a lifestyle that wasn't built to last. Loyal to people who didn't have the same vision. Loyal to comfort instead of calling. That's why loyalty has to start with purpose, not popularity. When you're truly loyal to your purpose, it changes how you move. You start turning down opportunities that don't align. You stop begging for seats at tables that weren't built for you. You start building your own, because loyalty to purpose gives you direction, and direction is freedom. Let me drop something heavy. Every time you betray your purpose, you pay with peace. You might gain attention, but you'll lose alignment. You might win quick, but you'll fall fast, because the universe doesn't reward fake effort. It rewards real loyalty. The road of purpose is long, and most won't make it to the end, not because they aren't talented, but because they're not loyal. They quit when it gets slow. They fold when it gets hard. But the real ones, they understand that greatness isn't built in comfort. It's built in commitment. And commitment ain't cute. It's not glamorous. It's not always motivating. Some days, it's just you, your doubts, and the grind. But if you stay loyal long enough, purpose will repay you with peace, progress, and power. When you're loyal to your purpose, you become unshakable. You stop reacting to opinions. You stop explaining yourself. You just move with quiet confidence, because you know your path is blessed, even if it's lonely. You stop chasing what's trending and start seeing what's timeless. The world respects consistency more than charisma. It doesn't matter how loud you are if your results are silent. Loyalty gives you longevity. It keeps you grounded when fame fades, when hype dies, when distractions call. Because when the world changes, loyalty doesn't. Real loyalty is invisible at first. It doesn't get attention, it gets results. It doesn't post, it produces. It's the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices that nobody sees. That's what separates the ones who say they want it from the ones who live it. Loyalty is quiet, but it echoes forever. Loyalty to your purpose isn't just about how hard you work. It's about how deeply you believe when nothing's working. It's faith disguised as discipline. It's showing up when the results don't show up. It's betting on yourself even when no one's clapping for you. See, purpose doesn't give you guarantees. It gives you guidance. It whispers to your spirit, keep going even when it doesn't make sense, and only the loyal ones listen, because loyalty means you've made peace with the process even when it's painful. Every real one has walked through that storm, the season when the grind feels endless, when progress feels invisible, when you're questioning everything. That's where loyalty is born. It's forged in struggle, not success. Anyone can be loyal when it's easy. Real loyalty shows up when it's not. Let's keep it all the way real. You can't be loyal to your purpose and loyal to your comfort at the same time. One of them has to lose. Purpose will push you. It'll demand sacrifice. It'll test your patience, your ego, your faith. And that's exactly how it builds you. When you stay loyal through that pain, something powerful happens. You start developing peace in the middle of chaos. You stop chasing what's temporary and start trusting what's timeless. You stop reacting to life and start responding with focus. That's the transformation only loyalty can bring, because loyalty turns pressure into power. When everyone else breaks, you build. When others complain, you commit. When others quit, you double down. You stop needing things to go right to feel right. You understand that every challenge is carving you into who you're supposed to become. Look around. Most people quit not because they're weak, but because they're inconsistent. They'll give everything for a week and nothing for a year. But the ones who win, they move different. They don't sprint. They marathon. They're loyal for life, not for likes. That's what separates the legends from the noise. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's loyalty. Because talent fades when it gets tired. Loyalty stays when the motivation dies. Loyalty says, I made a promise to my purpose and I'm keeping it no matter how long it takes. And here's the truth. Purpose will test your loyalty with isolation. You lose people who don't understand why you're so focused. You'll lose moments that others call fun. You'll even lose versions of yourself that no longer fit your mission. But every loss clears the path for something real. The higher you go, the quitter gets. Not because you're alone, but because distractions can't breathe at that altitude. That's what loyalty to purpose feels like, clarity at the cost of company. But that clarity, that's priceless. Real loyalty means doing right by your purpose even when no one's watching. It means protecting your integrity when temptation's loud. It means saying no to shortcuts even when they look sweet. Because once you compromise for convenience, you start losing what makes you rare. Let me drop a truth bomb. Loyalty is expensive because it costs yourself. You can't stay the same and still grow. You can't be half in and expect full blessings. The universe doesn't reward indecision. It rewards alignment. So if you're halfway loyal, you're already halfway lost. When you're truly loyal, people start calling you obsessed. But obsession is what loyalty feels like to the uncommitted. They can't understand why you'd sacrifice sleep, why you'd miss parties, why you'd invest everything into something that hasn't paid off yet. But that's because they see the price, not the purpose. Every empire was built by someone who stayed loyal long after the excitement faded. Every legend was once a regular person who refused to quit. They didn't have special luck. They had special loyalty. Think about the greats in business, art, music, sports. Their loyalty to the mission outlived every setback. They stayed down for years before the world ever gave them credit. That's the difference. The fake ones want recognition. The real ones want results. Loyalty will also teach you patience. You realize that rushing the process only ruins the blessing. You can't microwave mastery. You can't skip struggle and expect strength. Everything takes time, and loyalty is what keeps you steady during that time. You'll look back one day and realize all those lonely nights, all those silent seasons, all that doubt, it was building discipline. It was molding character. It was teaching you what commitment really means. Because loyalty is not proven in words, it's proven in weather. Can you still show up in the rain? Can you still move when nobody moves with you? That's what defines the real from the rest. And let's be honest, loyalty will break your heart before it builds your legacy. You'll pour into things that won't pour back. You'll give energy that won't be appreciated. But every tear, every test, every trial, it all becomes a part of your testimony. Because nothing loyal ever goes to waste. The universe doesn't forget effort. It might not reward you on your timeline, but it's keeping score. Every time you showed up tired, every time you stayed focused when distracted, every time you believed when it was dark. That's how blessings are built. Loyalty to purpose will eventually align you with peace. You'll stop chasing external rewards because you'll realize the real reward is who you became staying loyal. You'll notice your energy shift, your confidence rise, your focus sharpen. Because loyalty builds something inside you that can't be shaken. When you reach that place, you stop needing to prove anything. You stop arguing with doubters. You stop explaining your process. You let results do the talking. Because loyalty speaks louder than words. It's the quiet confidence that says, I'm not done, I'm destined. And here's the beauty of it. When you stay loyal to your purpose long enough, purpose becomes loyal to you. Doors open that used to be locked. People appear that used to ignore you. Opportunities flow that you didn't chase. That's not luck. That's loyalty cashing in. But even when you win, don't get comfortable. Because loyalty isn't a one-time act. It's a lifetime agreement. You keep showing up, you keep learning, you keep giving. Because the same loyalty that took you to the top will keep you there. You see, real ones don't switch when success comes. They stay grounded, stay grateful, stay giving. Because loyalty to purpose includes loyalty to values. You can't claim to love the mission and mistreat the people. You can't claim to chase greatness and disrespect the grind. Loyalty means honoring everything that helped you grow. And when you move like that, with integrity, consistency, and faith, you start inspiring others. Your story becomes proof that staying loyal to your purpose pays off. You become the blueprint for the next one coming up, the example for the lost, the reminder that persistence still wins in a world full of shortcuts. So let them doubt, let them laugh, let them call you crazy. Stay loyal anyway, because one day the same people who questioned your focus will quote your success. The same ones who walked away will watch from the sidelines. And when that day comes, remember, you didn't get there because you were lucky. You got there because you were loyal to your dream, loyal to your grind, loyal to your purpose. So whatever you do, don't fold, don't switch, don't settle. Protect your mission like your name depends on it. Move with faith, not fear. Stay rooted, stay humble, stay loyal. Because loyalty might make the journey longer, but it makes the legacy stronger. And that's what real ones live for. Everybody wants greatness, but nobody wants the loneliness that comes with it. They want the glory, not the grind. They want the shine, not the silence. But the truth is, every great story starts in isolation. Every legend was once alone with nothing but vision, pain, and faith. See, the price of greatness isn't money, it's solitude. You'll have to walk through seasons where no one understands you, where you question everything. Where you look around and realize the path you're on doesn't have traffic. It's just you and the mission. And that's what separates the real from the rest, how they move when no one's watching. Because solitude reveals your truth. It strips away ego, noise, and validation. It forces you to face yourself, your flaws, your fears, your habits, your limits. And most people can't handle that. That's why they stay distracted. They drown in company because they're afraid of their own thoughts. They chase noise because silence exposes their weakness. But real ones, they embrace solitude because they know isolation is where evolution happens. When it's just you and your thoughts, that's when clarity starts speaking. That's when you realize what you've been tolerating, what you've been chasing, and what truly matters. Solitude doesn't just test you, it transforms you. Every time you pull back from the crowd, you get closer to your calling. You stop moving for approval and start moving for alignment. You start valuing your peace more than people's opinions. That's the mindset that builds greatness. Because greatness requires space to grow, to think, to create. You can't build something eternal in a room full of noise. You can't hear divine instruction when you're surrounded by constant distraction. That's why solitude is sacred. It's not loneliness, it's preparation. People confuse being alone with being empty. But solitude is full of lessons, full of awareness, full of power. It's where you learn how to stand without support, how to build without applause, how to keep going without confirmation. The ones who reach greatness didn't skip the lonely nights. They just learned to use them. They turned solitude into strategy. They built routines instead of excuses. They treated quiet like currency, investing it into self-improvement, learning, healing, creating. You can't rise if you're scared to be separate. Because every new level requires new focus, and focus can't breathe in chaos. When you start chasing greatness, your circle shrinks, your phone gets quieter, your schedule gets tighter, and at first it hurts, but later it heals. That's the price. Solitude doesn't take from you, it refines you. It strips away the fake layers, the wasted energy, the unnecessary attachments. It shows you who's real, and what's been holding you back. Let's be real, people love comfort. They crave connection, even if it's toxic. They'd rather stay in a room full of noise than face their own reflection. But if you truly want greatness, you gotta walk through seasons where you're misunderstood, uncelebrated, unseen. That's where your strength is forged, because solitude builds discipline. When nobody's checking for you, you learn how to check yourself. When no one's clapping, you learn how to clap for yourself. You stop relying on external energy and start generating your own. That's power. Think about it. The greatest ideas were born in silence. The biggest shifts in history came from people who separated themselves to think differently. While others were distracted by comfort, they were consumed by calling. That's what solitude creates, space to become something new. But here's what most don't get. Solitude isn't punishment, it's positioning. The universe pulls you away from the crowd because what it's building, and you can't survive in noise. You might not understand it now, but every season of silence is preparing you for a louder purpose later. You'll know you're in a solitude season when conversations start feeling empty, when old habits start losing flavor, when company starts feeling draining. That's your spirit saying, it's time to grow. And growth hurts, because you'll lose comfort, connection, and sometimes yourself. But what you gain in exchange, peace, clarity, purpose, that's priceless. Solitude also teaches you patience, because when you're alone, you start realizing that timing matters. You stop forcing outcomes. You start trusting divine order. You learn that just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. It just means it's not ready. Real ones understand isolation doesn't break you, it builds you. You stop needing constant validation because solitude gives you self-assurance. You stop chasing attention because solitude gives you direction. You stop begging for love because solitude teaches you self-worth. When you master being alone, you become unstoppable, because once you're comfortable in your own energy, nobody can use loneliness to control you. You stop fearing being left out because you realize solitude doesn't mean loss, it means leadership. And leadership is lonely. You can't lead if you're still craving to belong. You can't inspire others if you're afraid to stand apart. Every visionary, every leader, every great builder had to pay the same price: solitude. Think about it. Before the success, before the respect, before the spotlight, there was silence. There were nights of doubt, tears, sacrifice, and faith. That's where greatness is molded. Solitude is your training ground. It's where you build habits, sharpen discipline, and develop clarity. The world only sees the results. They don't see the nights you stayed up studying when everyone else was asleep. They don't see the mornings you showed up tired, the rejections you swallowed, the faith you held on to when it didn't make sense. That's the price. You pay it in silence, but the world pays you back in respect. But let's be honest, solitude gets heavy. There'll be days when it feels unbearable, when the silence feels loud, when the isolation feels endless. But remember, diamonds are formed in pressure and darkness. Gold is purified by fire. Greatness is birthed through solitude. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. You're not being left behind, you're being set apart. The distance you feel right now is not rejection, it's direction. The universe is removing distractions to give you elevation. So don't run from solitude, run through it. Because what's waiting on the other side is not just success, it's transformation. You won't just win, you'll evolve. When you start walking alone, you begin to see the world differently. You stop chasing noise and start chasing meaning. You start realizing that peace isn't found in people, it's found in purpose. And that's what solitude gives you: a clear mind, a steady heart, and a focused soul. See, most people never reach their potential because they can't handle being unseen. They need constant validation to keep moving. But real ones, they don't need an audience to grind. They don't need applause to believe. Their hunger is internal. Their drive is personal. They move in silence because they know results make more noise than words ever will. That's the essence of solitude. It teaches you to build quietly. It teaches you to stop announcing every step and start proving every move. It's the difference between talking about dreams and actually living them. When you're alone, you realize how much energy you used to waste trying to convince people who never believed in you. Solitude gives that energy back. And once you learn to use that energy right, to study, to create, to heal, you become unstoppable. Because the same silence that once made you feel isolated becomes your secret weapon. You stop fearing the dark because you realize that's where light is born. There's a reason the real ones walk alone, because crowds kill focus. And focus is the heartbeat of greatness. When you're surrounded by too many opinions, too many distractions, you start doubting your own instincts, you start forgetting your own vision. That's why solitude matters. It helps you hear your own voice again. The truth is, isolation reveals alignment. It's in solitude where you discover what's meant for you and what's not. You stop chasing temporary company and start craving permanent growth. You stop trying to fit in and start trying to level up. But that process isn't pretty. It's not filtered. It's not glamorous. It's not easy. There will be days where you question yourself, nights when you feel forgotten, but those are the days where your faith gets stronger. That's when the real transformation happens. Because solitude doesn't just change how you move, it changes who you are. It teaches you patience, humility, and resilience. It teaches you that not every connection is meant to continue and not every loss is meant to hurt. Some separations are simply evolution in disguise. Look around. Every real one you've ever respected had to walk that road. They all had to disappear to elevate. They had to silence the world to find their sound. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because when you're truly focused on building something timeless, you don't have time to explain it, you just build. And one day when the world finally sees what you were working on, it all makes sense. Every lonely night, every silent season, every moment you felt overlooked, it all becomes part of the story. Because solitude doesn't delay destiny, it develops it. There's a quiet power in disappearing for a while. It confuses people, but it strengthens your spirit. When you come back, you're sharper, calmer, and more intentional. You stop reacting to noise and start responding to purpose. That's growth. You notice how your energy changes, how your circle changes. You'll attract people who match your mindset, not your history. You'll stop explaining your vision and start living it. That's when solitude becomes strength, when you start moving different because you understand your worth. But here's the truth most won't tell you. Solitude also exposes your shadows. It shows you the parts of yourself you used to hide behind distractions. It forces you to confront your mistakes, your pain, your trauma. That's why it's heavy, because healing isn't comfortable. Growth never is. But once you face it, once you stop running from your own reflection, you unlock peace that nobody can touch. That's when solitude turns from a cage into a crown. You start realizing that walking alone doesn't mean walking empty. It means walking in alignment. Real ones walk alone because they're walking towards something real. They're chasing legacy, not likes. They're building discipline, not drama. They're mastering themselves before they try to lead anyone else. Because how can you lead others if you can't even lead your own mind? And solitude gives you that control. It teaches you emotional independence. You stop reacting to betrayal, to envy, to doubt, because you've already learned to stand on your own. You stop expecting people to understand your journey because you finally understand it yourself. Let me tell you something real. The moment you accept solitude as a gift, not a curse, life shifts. You start moving from desperation to direction. You stop chasing company and start creating legacy. You stop looking for a home and people and start building home inside yourself. That's the real meaning of walking alone. It's not about being antisocial. It's about being intentional. It's about guarding your energy like it's sacred, because it is. It's about realizing that not everyone deserves access to you. Not every conversation deserves your time. Not every space deserves your presence. When you walk alone, you start walking with clarity. You realize who's for you and who's just around you. You learn that solitude doesn't isolate you from the world. It protects you from wasting your purpose. You learn to say no without guilt, to move without validation, to grow without permission. You start living by discipline instead of distraction. That's how greatness is built, one lonely step at a time. The world will call you distant, cold, even arrogant. But what they don't see is that you're simply focused. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding noise. You're not healing. You're not lost. You're leveling up. And when the time is right, when the work is done, when the foundation is built, you'll emerge. And when you do, the same ones who doubted your silence will be the ones talking about your success, because real ones don't need to announce the journey. They let the results speak. They let time reveal what solitude built in silence. So if you're in that phase right now where everything feels distant, quiet, and slow, don't lose faith. You're not behind. You're in preparation. You're in the process of becoming who you're supposed to be. Don't rush it. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Because solitude is not the enemy. It's the environment where greatness is born. Remember this. When the world gets loud, silence becomes power. When people disappear, purpose appears. And when you learn how to walk alone, you stop fearing the journey, because the truth is the path to greatness was never meant to be crowded. You'll lose people, but you'll find yourself. You'll lose comfort, but you'll gain clarity. You'll lose noise, but you'll gain peace. And that peace, that's the reward. That's the power. That's the reason real ones walk alone, because they know the marathon is personal. The race is individual. The legacy is self-made. And in the end, when the world finally recognizes your name, you'll know every lonely night was worth it. You'll realize solitude was never separation. It was elevation. And that's why the real ones always walk alone. At the end of the day, walking alone isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the moment you realize that peace is more valuable than popularity and growth is louder than gossip. Solitude becomes the stage where your purpose performs best. It's where your focus sharpens, your vision clears, and your spirit aligns with what's truly meant for you. Real ones walk alone, not because they're better, because they've learned the cost of greatness. They understand that the road to self-mastery isn't crowded. They know silence builds strength and separation creates success. While others seek validation, they seek evolution. While others chase comfort, they chase calling. So if you find yourself walking alone, don't doubt your direction. The path of isolation is the path of transformation. Keep your head high, your faith strong, and your steps steady, because one day the world will see what silence was shaping. Remember, solitude doesn't separate you from your destiny. It prepares you for it, and that's why the real ones always walk alone.